What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy here once again, Manny. Welcome back to another episode of DFS Zone, your source for daily fantasy sport lineup advice for the NFL, NBA, WNBA, and MLB. And before I continue, like always, guys, man, I appreciate you guys drop a like. And if you have not subscribed as of yet to the channel, please do so down below. And do not forget to turn on your notifications. This way you do not miss any of my new uploads. With that all being said, it is Tuesday, July the 17th, 2018. We have a two-game slate here in the WNBA, and before I continue on with the video and with the slate, guys, I do apologize for anyone that tried to enter the live stream on Sunday at 4, an hour before lock. I had technical difficulties. I should have checked everything out prior to announcing it. I had used the streaming before for the NBA a few times during the playoffs, and it worked out fine, but I needed to redo the codes again from OBS, and for whatever reason I had some difficulty, so I wasn't able to get on. And then when I finally did try to get back on around 4:40 or so just to check it, within a minute being on, 2 or 3 of you guys got in. I remember Orlando, I remember Devin, Washington joined, and there was a couple of guys, and we started talking a little bit about the 6 o'clock slate, and so I ended up being on for like 50 minutes, even though it was late. So I do apologize for those who tried to tune in at 4 o'clock. I plan to try to do it again tomorrow. I'm going to try. I'm not going to say for sure, but if you see me pop on there about 12 noon. Now remember, tomorrow's games, they start at 1 o'clock. The two games, one at 1 o'clock tomorrow, one of those matinee games. And then we have the lone 7 o'clock game is Atlanta versus Connecticut. So only 2 games tomorrow, but the slate starts at 1. That's 10 a.m. Pacific time. It's right now actually 12 midnight Eastern. I live in New York, and so I'm doing the video late, but I'm doing it simply because I know these games start at 1 o'clock. All right, guys, so let's just dive right in. So that's pretty much the deal there. So again, I apologize for the technical difficulties on Sunday, and I will try again tomorrow around 12. I say 12, between 12:05 if I can get on. I will be home, but I know I have a few things to do early, so if I can get on, I will do it, and I'll be willing to chit chat with some of you guys regarding the slate for about a half hour, 35 minutes. I usually like to look over my lineups again one more time, 15-20 minutes too, and if I like what I see, I stick with it, and if I feel like I need to make a change, I make it. So definitely I can do the stream for about 30-35 minutes. All right, so let's dive in, man. We got New York at Dallas, guys. New York at Dallas. Implied totals for this game is 167, with Dallas favored at home by 10. Dallas is coming in 12-9 to this game, and they're 7-3 at home. Something very important. In the last 5 games, they are 4-1 over the course of the last 5 games, and they are actually 2-0 at home during the course of those 5 games. So they definitely are playing very well right now. Where they stand in team statistics, points, they're first in points right now at 87.1. They surpass Connecticut. Pace, they're second in pace at 82.2 possessions per game. 5th in field goal percentage at 45%. 11th in three-point percentage at 30.9%. They're third in rebounds at 36.6 rebounds per game. They're 9th in assists at 17.8 assists per game. 6th in steals with 7 steals a game. 3rd in blocks with 4.9, pretty much 5 blocks a game. Percentage points from 2-point range, they are 9th in the league at 54.6% from 2, and they are 7th in points per game given up to guards at 32 points per game, and their points per game given up to forwards, they are 4th at 47.8, pretty much 48 points per game. On the other side of the ball, New York is coming in 7-14. They are 3-6 on the road, so very important. They're not a good team, and they're not a good road team. They did come off from a good win on Sunday in their last game. In their last 5 previous games, they're 2-3, and they are 1-1 on the road during the course of those 5 games. They are 9th in points in the league at 78.9 points per game, pretty much 79 points per game. They're 11th in pace, so they definitely don't like the fast-paced game. They usually are pretty good. They surprise teams, and time to time they put in a good effort, and they definitely slow down the pace. So Dallas, to be successful tomorrow, needs to continue to push the pace, all right, because they're one of the better paced teams. They definitely need to have those extra possessions. But New York is 11th at 78.9, pretty much 79 possessions per game. 10th in field goal percentage at 43.2. They're 9th in three-point percentage at 32.2. They're 7th in rebounding at 33 rebounds per game, 5th in assists at 19.9, pretty much 20 assists a game, not too bad. 4th in steals at 7.3, that's not too bad either. They're last in blocks at 2.6 blocks per game. Percentage points from two, they're 7th in the league at 58% from there, and they're 10th in points per game given up to guards. They're tied, giving up 34.2 points per game to guards, and they're 5th also in a tie with points per game given up to forwards and centers at 48 points per game. All right, when I go into the game, let's go and dive into the game real quickly. I mean, Skylar Diggins-Smith, you know, one thing I want to make clear right now, guys, it's only a 2-game slate. Okay, some of these prices are going to be a little beefed up on some of these girls, and it's going to happen. It's a 2-game slate. We have to not look at those numbers too highly here. Look to see what we can get as far as value, and if we can get anybody that is going to be at a certain close to their average, or at least above their average and close to possible 5x value, then we can go that route. So that's the advice I can give anybody here, because you're going to see some numbers here. When I seen these numbers and these prices, I was like, wow, some girls are very, very high, and they're nowhere near the value. At least they haven't been playing at their value over the course of the last few games. But, you know, again, we have to look at it. It's not a 3 or 4 game slate. This is a 2-game slate. So FanDuel and some of these sites are going to definitely do that to make it a little more challenging for us to be able to situate ourselves with a nice lineup. So anyway, Skylar Diggins-Smith, 8,600. You need about 43 from her. She's averaging 37.9, pretty much 38, but she's been on fire, so she's definitely in play, guys. 3 out of our last four games are 50 plus. She's really been playing lights out. 53, 50, 36, and 50. I don't need to go any further. Okay. Versus New York, she had a 50 spot in 31 minutes here 4 games ago, and then in the previous game she put up 31 in 30 minutes, so pretty much more than 1 fantasy point per minute, and definitely hit value here, down here at that point in time in the year, and then up here recently with a 50 spot, she definitely crushed value. So she's definitely in play, guys, definitely in play. So definitely Skylar Diggins-Smith should be someone you consider. When you come down here in this game, Brittany Boyd had a great game the other day. Sure, she's playable, 6,100. I am not going to be on her. I'd rather pay, if I'm going to play anybody in New York, and I'm not big on any of the New York guards. I've played Brittany Boyd about 3 times when she was really running hot about a week and a half, 2 weeks back. I haven't played her since. Her value, her price has gone up. But you got here Bria Hartley, Shavonte Zealous, and Epiphany Prince. I would say I would stick to Zealous and Prince, maybe not even Hartley. But if you go down to Shavonte, she's at 4.5K. She need about 22, 23, and she's averaging 18. And then when you look here, she's been at close to 18 at least once, twice, 3, 4 times. So she's been at 18 plus 4 out of the last 5 games, and she is getting the bulk of the minutes as far as in that guard spot for New York. You know, and she does play sometimes small forward, like in the last game. So you got to watch out for that. So if you choose her, if you decide to put her in your lineup, you basically could be seeing her as your 5th forward. But she is definitely in play. I think she's definitely someone you can consider here in this game. We go down a little further. Alicia Gray will be the next one. 4,200. She seems not to budge from that price, but she is that, you know, she's consistently good for 20 to 22. 22 here, 24 here, 25 here, 24, 23. It's just the minutes are up and down. Sometimes she's playing 15 or 18 minutes, and then some days she's playing 28. So, I mean, 28 here, 21 here. So it's hard to gauge, but she did have a 24 spot against New York here in 28 minutes. And then the previous game, game 1, down here in 19 minutes, only 6 points. That was early on in the year. It was only the 4th game of the season, 5th game of the season for Dallas. But Dallas is definitely, they have her as part of the rotation. She's one of the ones that definitely plays. It's just a matter of how much she'll play. But if she gets more than 20 minutes, I think she could get you anywhere between 18 to 22 fantasy points. Epiphany Prince will be the only other guard that I would consider here in this matchup. 4,200, last 2 games, 21 plus. Got a 21 and a 22 spot here, 24 to 27 minutes. Yeah, man, that's pretty good for me. You know, and then Dallas, like I mentioned before, they're 7th in defending guards, giving up 32 points per game. But the last 3 games, they've just only been giving up 24 points per game to guards. They have tightened up the defense over the course of the last 4 games. So something very important that I should have said before that I'm mentioning now. That's something that I definitely look at. Always look at those 3 or 4 previous games to see how well the teams are playing defensively. And over the last 3 or 4 games, Dallas has tightened up their D on guards. So this may be a tough spot for New York guards in general, but the games have to be played. So you never know. With a 2-game slate like this, you look at all the possible options. And, Epiphany Prince, she's still pretty decent in price, 4,200. You need 21. I think she can get you there in this matchup, but it could be a tough game for her. All right, we go to the forwards. Tina Charles definitely in play, guys. Tina Charles has played well against this team. She had 2 games against Dallas. She had a 38 spot against Dallas in the last game. Pretty much 1 fantasy point per minute. She's at 8,300 and need 41, and she's averaging about 34.5. She's at that range right now, so you first look at that, like I've mentioned before. She's putting 34, pretty much 34, 4 straight games. At least she's hitting her value, her average fantasy points per game. But she's not quite hit 41 on a regular basis. But I could deal with that in a 2-game slate like this. I think she's definitely a good play. Not only that, she has 50-point upside, so she could definitely get you close to 50 or above 50. So I definitely like her here as well. And she, like I said, she had a 38 spot here against them. Where is it at? And then she had Dallas right here, 32 minutes, 38, 26, 9, and 1. I mean, that's all we need her to do is to score points and rebound. And then in the previous game before that against Dallas earlier in the year, she put a 53 spot in 37 minutes. So I like Tina Charles here. Liz Cambage in play, 8,000. You need 40. She hasn't hit 40 pretty much in about 3 or 4 straight games, 3 games straight. But again, 2-game slate. She has tremendous upside. She can give you 50 plus. She has hit 1 fantasy point per minute, even though she's had these minimal minutes here. Okay. A little concerning there, only 24, 14, 27. You figure she'll be in maybe in at least a 30, 33 minute range. But we'll see. I mean, life has been a little easier for her. I would think also is because maybe Azura Stevens has been playing very well up front with her. So maybe that's one of the reasons why she's getting a little bit less minutes. But Liz Cambage, she's one of the top scorers, top rebounders in the league. Definitely in play here in this slate. I've never been really Glory Johnson the favorite fan, so I normally don't play her. 6,400, she might not be a bad play, but I'd rather save the money, pay $200 less, and take Azura Stevens. At 62, you need 31 from her, and she's averaging pretty much close to 20, but she's 19 plus. But she's averaging 19, but she's doing 19 above in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight games. So that she's been hitting at least fantasy points per minute has been going up, and she's had 235 plus games, actually 3 in those 6 games, and she's definitely being a part of the rotation. The minutes are there. And another thing also, New York, they're 5th. Remember, they're 5th. They're fairly good up front. 47.9 points per game they're giving up to the big men. In the last 4 games, they have actually squandered 50 points per game. So they actually have been giving up a few more points to the front court. So definitely something to consider here in this matchup. You look at this matchup, you look at Dallas, you look at Azura Stevens with Cambage and possibly Kayla Thornton up front. And, it's just Tina doesn't have enough help there. I mean, even with Glory Johnson there, it's just the front court of Dallas looks very, very strong here. So that's something to consider here as well. So that's something that I look at, and I think that anybody should look at that as well. So Azura Stevens and Liz Cambage in play. Kayla Thornton could be in play for 1,000 less. I'm not on Kayla Thornton tomorrow, but she is someone you can consider. I'm not on Powers. I'm pretty much good here. Other than that, maybe Kia Vaughn and Kayla George for value plays. Kia Vaughn is at 3,900, and Kia Vaughn you need about 19 from her, pretty much there. She's averaging 14, but she's put 15 and 17 pretty much 1, 2, 3 out of the last 5 games. She's had at least her average fantasy points per game, and she's had a 17 spot in 17 minutes in the last game. That's 1 fantasy point per minute. So fairly, if she could get 20 plus minutes, it would definitely help. I don't know. Tomorrow could be the best matchup for them because they're gonna need her or Stokes or whomever comes in, or Amanda as it would be, to be able to defend and play some good ball against these girls, because up front, I mean, again, Cambage, Stevens, and Thornton, that's quite a bit. All right, you could possibly consider Kayla George at 3,300. You need 15 from her. She's only averaging 8, but she's been getting a couple of sporadic minutes here and there. 12 here and 17. The last game only 7, but she put up more than 1 fantasy point. We definitely need more than that to cover 5x here. You need pretty much 14, 15. So 16. She has 16-point upside. You know, possible play, and more so if the game gets out of hand. Then you can see Dallas maybe putting her a little bit more, so that can happen. Remember, you know, Dallas should be favored here big. All right, and that's pretty much it for this game, guys, at least for me. We go over to Atlanta and Connecticut. Should be an entertaining game. We have implied totals 167 with Dallas favored at home by 10. I mean, excuse me, where am I looking? I'm looking at the wrong one, guys. I apologize. We have 166 implied totals for Atlanta and Connecticut, with Connecticut at home favored by 8. All right, Connecticut is coming in 12-10. They end up making this playoff push. They're 6-2 at home. They're 2-3 over the course of their last 5 games, and in the course of those 5 games, they had 2 games at home, and they have split those games. They're 1-1. They come in 3rd in scoring at 86 points per game. They're 4th in pace at 81 possessions per game, 4th in field goal percentage at 45%, 6th in 3-point percentage at 35%, 1st in rebounding, 37 rebounds per game, 7th in assists at 19, 9th in steals at 6.7, 8th in blocks at 3.4 blocks per game, percentage points from 2, they're 6th in the league at 59%, 2nd in points per game given up to guards at 28.8. They're still very, very good up front in defending guards. They're 11th, and they have moved up, and I told you they would move up as soon as Alyssa Thomas came back. They have now 11th. They're not last anymore. In points per game given up to forwards, they're up to 52.3 points per game. When we go to the other side of the ball, Atlanta's coming in red hot. They have won 4 straight. They're 12-9 coming in, and they're 5-6 on the road this year. So they're almost a 500 team on the road. They are 2-0 during the course of this 4-game winning streak, winning 2 games on the road. And the 4 teams they have beat: Washington twice, once at home and once in Washington. They beat Phoenix, which is another playoff bound team, and then they beat Indiana. So they're definitely playing very, very well right now. As far as team stats, they're 11th in points at 78.4 points per game. They're 3rd in pace, 82 possessions per game, pretty much even with Connecticut, only by 1 possession. So I consider that even. So the pace should be good in this game. 11th field goal percentage, 41%. They're last in 3-point shooting. They've been pretty bad throughout the year, 30% there. 5th in rebounding, 36 rebounds per game. 10th in assists at 17.8 assists per game. 3rd in steals at 7.4. 1st in blocks with 5 blocks per game. Percentage points from 2, they're 5th in the league at 59%, pretty much tie with Connecticut in that category as well. Points per game given up to guard, they're very respectable. They're 4th in the league in defending against guards, only giving up 31 points per game to guards. That's only 3 more than what Connecticut gives up. Points per game given up to forwards, they're 8th at 50.5 points per game. So if you look at it, Connecticut being 11th and Atlanta being 8th, both giving 50-plus points per game up front, you definitely want to consider targeting some of the players up front in this matchup. All right, we go to the game. Tiffany Hayes is the first guard here on board. Tiffany Hayes, 7,400. You need about 37 from her. I mean, you know, she's in play again. Like I said, this slate here is very, very tricky. But you got girls overpriced. She's not hit, you know, 32. I mean, at this price here, you need about 36, 37, and she hasn't hit that price. She hasn't hit that value in quite a while, in more than, wow, not since June the 14th. So I'm not high on her tomorrow. She could possibly explode for a big game. We know she's capable of getting 40. All right, she has that upside, but she has not put up those numbers in a while. And then going back against Connecticut. As a matter of fact, I forgot to tell you, these guys, have they played against each other? Connecticut, they have played each other, I think, twice. Connecticut here, she didn't play in this game against Connecticut, but she played in game 1 and she put up a 42 spot. So again, that was her biggest game of the year. Looking at it right here real quickly, yes, 42 is her high of the year, and it happened to be against Connecticut, but that was back on June the 5th. So we'll see what goes there. But she is in play, guys. I'm not on her, but I would not be mad at anybody choosing Tiffany Hayes in the slate today. We go on further. Courtney Williams, definitely like Courtney Williams. As you can see, her price is just jacking up and up. And obviously, this is a 2-game slate. They're jacking up the price even more. 6,700. I still think she's someone that you could consider. You need here 30, pretty much 30. You need about 37 from her, and that's quite a bit. She's not getting 37, Actually, she needs, my fault, she needs about 27. And she's going to be, in that range, 25, 21, 42, 25. I mean, I like her. She's getting enough minutes. 34 and 24. She didn't have to play a whole lot in the last game. We're going to see that because Minnesota just really shit the bed the other day. They did not play well at all. I expected them to play well, and they did not. Connecticut just kicked their butt, and not only did they kick their butt, Minnesota basically just gave them the game. They just didn't shoot well. So a lot of these girls definitely only play minimal minutes. Courtney Williams was one of them. Jasmine Thomas. I like Jasmine Thomas a little bit more due to price. So Jasmine Thomas at 5,900. You need about 28. She's averaging 24, very close. We'll take a look real quickly. 24 is her average. She's done it once, twice, 3 out of the last 4 games. I'm okay with that, especially at that price. She needs 29. She's close. She had a 133 point, pretty much 34 game here against Phoenix. The previous games against Connecticut, she had a 24 spot. The last game, if I can find it here. I don't see it. Where is it? That is weird. Connecticut. Yeah, she had a 24 spot against Connecticut in the first game. And then she put up, oh, sorry. I'm looking at the wrong guy, against Atlanta. My fault. Atlanta, 29. She put up 24 spot against Atlanta. I'm saying Connecticut, and she plays for Connecticut. Oh boy, that tells me I am very tired. It's very late. 29 minutes, 24 fantasy points, and then she had a 14 spot here in 22 minutes in the first game. So I mean, again, price is a little high, but matchup is pretty good. Atlanta, both teams are fairly good up front, so something's got to give as far as, in the backcourt. Both teams are fairly good. As I said, Atlanta is 4th defending against guards, and in the last 4 games they have been a little poor over the last 4 games, giving up 37 points per game when they're averaging 31.2 points per game defending guards. So definitely the guards have gotten the best of Atlanta over the course of the last few games, so this is an opportunity to jump in on either Jasmine Thomas or Courtney Williams. Move a little further. I mean, you could play the revenge thing, got traded, whole scenario for Alex Bentley, but I'm not on Alex Bentley for 5,400. She's not playing well enough yet in an Atlanta uniform, so I'm going to bypass her. One girl that I really do like for tomorrow is Brittany Sykes. Okay, Brittany Sykes, 5,300. Pretty much you need about 26, 27 from her. And she's had 25 and 27 in the last few games, and she's been at 20 plus for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of the last 9 games. So that I like. And then the minutes are just a little bit above, but I mean all these games here, pretty much she has about 7 games. Yeah, she's had 7-8 games where she's hit one fantasy point per minute or better. As you can see, she did it here, did it here, 20 and 17, 19 and 22, 30, 38, 26, 28, and 25, 25 right here. I mean, it's just, yeah, she could be a very sneaky play tomorrow. I like her there at 5,300 for certain. She's going to be in some of my lineups. That I could assure you. Brittany Sykes definitely in play. We move on. Renee Montgomery could be someone you can consider. $600 cheaper, 4,700. Yeah, I wouldn't put it past myself to maybe consider her. I do like Rachel Banham here. 4,100. She's been getting quite a bit of floor time and playing very well as of late too. So I mean, someone I might consider at 20, 21, 17. She had 18 minutes here, 16, 21 minutes here. Didn't fare well, only 4 points, but had a 28, 28 and 24, 20. So she's looking fairly good. Almost one fantasy, I would say about 0.88 to 0.85 to 0.88 fantasy points per minute. Over those course of those 4 or 5 games that I mentioned there. So I mean, she's been playing fairly well. 6 out of her last 8 games at 10 plus, and she's been averaging 21 to 28 minutes over the course of 4 of her last 6 games. And as you can see, she has 25, 26 point upside with 25 here and 28 here. So she's capable of getting you about 25 to 28. So Rachel Banham is definitely someone I'm considering. as a value play. Move down any, same thing with Clarendon. You can consider that whole, hey, I used to play for Atlanta. I want to get back at you. I don't know if she's going to get enough minutes, so I'm not on her. I'm not buying it. We go to the forwards. That's pretty much there for the guards. Go to forward. Angel McCoughtry. This is going to be fascinating. Very good up here up front with Angel McCoughtry, Jessica Breland, Elizabeth Williams going up against Alyssa Thomas and Shanae Ogwumike and Jonquel Jones. That is definitely, you could definitely get 2 girls out of here on this slate easy and put them on your forward, on your lineup easily. All right. I'm not high on Angel McCoughtry here. I think this is definitely a tough matchup for McCoughtry. But she has had 4 straight games at 21 to 24 minutes, which I really find very disappointing. I mean, she's not getting massive minutes. 24, 24, 21, and 24. I don't know what that's all about. Granted, she's been putting up decent numbers, more than 1 fantasy point per minute in 3 out of those 4 games. So, I mean, that's something to consider. But 7,800, I find that's kind of pricey, man, for tomorrow's slate. So I'm going to bypass her, and I'm going to concentrate more for $100 cheaper. Take a shot at Alyssa Thomas versus Connecticut. Atlanta is 8th in defending forwards, giving up 50.5 points per game. But they have been, pretty scary for me to even choose Alyssa Thomas. But I like the way she's been playing. That's the only reason why I'm going to consider her. And plus, she had a decent game the first time around against them. But we'll get to that in a moment. But, Atlanta has been really stepping it up front. The 3 girls that I mentioned, McCoughtry, Breland, and Williams, have definitely been putting on the defensive, they have definitely tightened up their defense. They have gone from 50.5 points on average, giving up in the last 4 games. They have held their opponents to 40.5 points per game. That's actually 10 points less up front, straight up floor points they've been giving up to the opposition over the course of the last 4 games. So something really, really to consider here. Should you take Alyssa Thomas, or should you just go bypass Alyssa Thomas and focus on 2 Atlanta players who may shut down these girls, Alyssa and Shanae, and maybe at the same time have a very big offensive game? But I'm going to still say that I like Alyssa Thomas here. Game log here, let's take a quick look. 40 and 32 in the 2 previous games. We're not going to count this Minnesota game. Only 18 fantasy points in 21 minutes, which is spectacular. She filled up the stat sheet. Granted, she had 3 turnovers, but Minnesota was just horrible the other day. They didn't even have to have Alyssa Thomas on the floor or even Shanae Ogwumike for a very long time. She only played 21 minutes. We know she is fresh. She had pretty much a half a game and a whole day's rest. I expect her to come out swinging tomorrow. Today. She's going to come out tonight, and she's going to definitely kick some butt. So I like Alyssa Thomas simply because they have had a little bit more rest. She's going to be ready to go a hard-fought game here against Atlanta. This front court of Atlanta is pretty darn good. So it's going to be interesting. Something's got to give, and something tells me that one of these players on each team is going to have a fantastic game. And so I'm leaning for Connecticut. I'm going with Alyssa Thomas. I'm going to bypass Shanae, but Shanae at $100 cheaper is not a bad play either. She has had 30 plus in 4 out of the last 6 games, and she versus Atlanta, she had a 20 spot the last time around in 32 minutes, which is not that great. And then the previous game, she definitely had a 21 spot also in 30 minutes. So 2 30-spot games. I just like Alyssa Thomas better for the matchup with her up front with McCoughtry. So Alyssa Thomas is my play for Connecticut. When I'm thinking of Atlanta, I kind of like Elizabeth Williams, but Jessica Breland has been playing really well. 7,300, and need pretty much 34, 35 from her. You need 35, 36 from her. And she's putting up 33. She had a massive 56 game here, 56-point fantasy game. You just don't know. But she had 2 wonderful games against Washington. If she could keep that up, she could be definitely a good play here. She averages 27, and she's been at 27 1, 2, 3 out of the last 4 games. So she at least has been hitting average fantasy points per game. And then she has 50-point upside, as she already seen. She's been able to do that. So, like I said, 16 points in the first game against Connecticut, and 27 pretty much in the first game. So she could be someone to consider, but I'd rather pay $6,600 and take a chance on Elizabeth Williams. I think she's going to be a little less owned, and she's been really good. 24 plus in 3 games, and 2 out of the last 4 games 31 plus. The minutes are there: 30, 19, 31, 23, 22. If she gets anywhere between 23 to 30 minutes today, she's going to be just fine. This girl does a lot of the dirty work. She blocks, she defends, she rebounds, and she's capable of getting under the boards and getting some putbacks and putting up some points. So Elizabeth Williams for me is definitely someone to consider. You go down a little bit further here, Jonquel Jones in play at 5,500. You want to save 1,100 from Elizabeth, you could play Jonquel. I'm not on her, but I mean, she is someone you can consider. 5,500, you need pretty much 26, 27. She hasn't hit that number in a while. I just don't like these minutes. I don't know what's going on with Jonquel. So yeah, definitely, guys, I would not be on her at all. I don't advise anybody to be on her. Morgan Tuck could be a value play, 4,100. You need pretty much 20, and she's averaging 10. And she's had some moments here. 2 games she didn't play, but 19 here in 21 minutes. That's not too bad. Obviously, garbage time. She got a little bit more time on the floor. 26 here, 31, 24, 20 here. I mean, not bad, man. Close to a fantasy point per minute here. Got a fantasy point per minute here. Probably had the best game of the year here. 20 floor points. Actually, she did it before here against Phoenix. She's had 28. She can get you 28 or better. She could be a little sneaky play. You only need 20 from her, and she can get you there. So Morgan Tuck could be someone you can consider. Maybe Miss Billings, and that's pretty much it for me. That is pretty much it. All right, guys, so that's pretty much it, man. So what we'll do is I will try to get on between 12:05, and sit down and chat with you guys for a little bit about the slate, if anybody is available. I know it's a working day. I have some flexibility with my time over the summer, like I mentioned early on in a few videos back, that I will have some freedom in the summer. So I will make myself available to at least come on at least for a half hour before I double check my lineups for tomorrow's slate. All right, guys, man. So drop a like on the video. I appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you want to get those inside advice, you want to get general information, you want to get as much information as possible as far as making your lineup decisions every day for the WNBA, definitely subscribe down below, and do not forget to turn on your notifications. This way you don't miss any of my uploads or any of my streams. All right, so I'll see you guys around 12:05 tomorrow. All right, everybody, have a great night, because it's 12:30 in the morning, and I'll see you guys then.